In my time writing game reviews, one thing has made itself very clear. Indie games deserve so much more love. I can't count the number of times I've seen someone on social media complain about the lack of games out there when 100 indie games were released in the last hour. And in a world where some of the leading gaming personalities continuously overlook indie games with truly indie origins, the truth is, everyone should be playing more indies. Hello and welcome to another episode of Indie Impact, where I'll be highlighting a duo of indie titles that can be found for free or cheap somewhere on the internet, discussing their pros, their cons, and letting you know if they're impacts or setbacks. So, without further ado, here are today's selections. In our first indie of the episode, we have MEG'S Monster, developed and published by Japanese studio Odincat, who also created Bear's Restaurant and Dream Channel Zero. I first encountered MEG'S Monster shortly following its release in 2023, and ever since it's occupied prime real estate in my head.
It's free real estate.
MEG'S Monster is a linear JRPG light with an emphasis on narrative. It follows Roy, a monster living in the underworld, with his best friend Golan, when all of a sudden they meet Meg, a human child. Before this starts to sound a little too familiar, it becomes apparent to both Roy and Golan that any time Meg cries, she seems to trigger the literal apocalypse. So it's up to these two monsters to reunite Meg with her mother, all the while fending off a legion of marauders who want to make her their next meal. It's the battle system where MEG'S Monster sets itself apart. From the start, it's clear the objective isn't to present players with overwhelmingly tough fights and endurance challenges, but rather to force them to employ strategy and to plan out their course of attack. By default, Roy's HP is maxed out and his defense is rather impressive. The way it's explained in-game is because Meg is standing behind Roy, she doesn't get physically damaged by enemies' attacks, but her heart breaks from seeing Roy get hurt. If Meg is allowed to cry at any point by letting her HP reach 0, it's game over. Thankfully, many of the battles are lightly scripted, so it's very hard for this to happen. It can happen, but so long as you're using your wits and thinking about your actions in battle, it won't. Here are the pros of MEG'S Monster. It's an emotional roller coaster. It only takes about 5 hours to complete the full game, but damn if it doesn't make the best use of that time. It'll have you thinking it's over, then BAM! There's a whole nother extended epilogue. Then it'll show the credits again, and then it's like, ha! You really thought the sadness was over? Think again, bitch! I really liked the character writing employed here. The antagonists, if you'll call them that, are extremely likable, and I would love to see them as the main characters of their own stories. In fact, another game in this world would make a lot of sense and would be very welcome. Here are the cons of MEG'S Monster. Its internal plot mechanics feel kind of circumstantial. There are several details about the plot that don't really add up when placed under a microscope, but it's not distracting enough to take you out of the plot. It's only when you think about it afterwards that you start to think, wait. It does that thing with its dialogue where the characters have distinct chirping sounds belonging to them exclusively. Think Undertale or Banjo-Kazooie. But in some cases, these sounds are incredibly annoying to have to listen to, especially when one character is going on a tangent. I am very confident that MEG'S Monster is an impact for its impressive storytelling, even if it suffers from a little bit of circumstantial logic. It's still an impressive masterwork that should be played by anyone looking for a memorable and emotional story of found family and purpose. You can pick up MEG'S Monster on PC, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox Series for $14.99. It might seem a bit pricey for a game that you'll complete in an afternoon, but trust me when I say that I think you'll really like it. And something I only found out in the making of this video is a MEG'S Monster DLC was just released in Japan and is planned for worldwide release soon, so I may need to keep my eyes open on that one. Like with MEG'S Monster, I've been sitting on this one for years. Save Room, developed by Fractal Projects and published on the Nintendo Switch by Ratalaika Games, is an inventory management game styled after the inventory briefcase in Resident Evil 4. Across 40 levels, you're given an assortment of items from guns and ammo to herbs and eggs, and you have to find a way to make each item fit in the small space given. Save Room is a simple masterpiece with brilliant challenges. There are times not all the items will fit into a given space, so you'll have to think, are the guns fully loaded? If not, Perhaps the ammo should be used to load the guns. Are there a load of herbs? You may need to combine them into a fast-acting herb to consolidate space. Do you still not have enough room for everything? It might require eating a rotten egg, thus knocking some points off your health, then eating an herb to bring your health into the green. To add, the audio engineering on display here is phenomenal. Tatiana Jacques is responsible for the music and sound effects here, both of which feel ripped straight from a Resident Evil safe room, which is the highest form of praise. There's a light, ambient thunderstorm sound happening in the background while you play, only adding to the stressful but oddly relaxing atmosphere of Save Room. Here are the pros of Save Room. It's a simple but addicting puzzle challenge that will have you racking your brain in search of a solution. As you progress, twisted new mechanics are introduced which flips your understanding of the game thus far, forcing you to take a step back and rethink everything. I know I just mentioned it, but the audio design is something to be proud of. I am confident that Tatiana Jacques understood the assignment here and delivered a fully functioning aesthetic. Here are the cons of Save Room. It might be silly of me to point out, but the game can be pretty silly by nature. I would have liked for the devs to perhaps take the concept a bit more seriously, instead of seemingly acknowledging the incredulity of an entire game based on the inventory management of Resident Evil 4. I am also gonna call Save Room an impact for its unique presentation, addicting challenge, and its raw, unfiltered aesthetic. I will definitely be keeping this one installed and playing it from time to time. You can nab Save Room for PC via Steam, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, and Xbox Series. It's normally priced at $2.99 for PC and $4.99 for all other platforms, but no matter which you decide to play on, it's worth it. Also important to note is I've taken so long to include this one in an episode of ND Impact that a sequel has already been released, so I may have to include Save Room The Merchant in a future episode. Thank you for watching this episode of Indie Impact. So, what do you think? Are you gonna give either of these indies a shot? If so, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to support the channel, you could subscribe here on YouTube, or join the Pixcelation Patreon by following the link in the video description. Also, if you're an indie developer who would like their game featured in a future episode of Indie Impact, send an email to this email here on screen, pixel@pixelverse.com, with the relevant information. I've been Pixcelation, and until the next time I see you, stay pixelated.